What's going on, gang, and welcome back to Scared of Normal. I'm Mike Murphy, and on this episode, we're stoked to be sitting down with entrepreneur Max McManus. Dude, thank you so much for coming up here. You drove an hour and a half from what I like to call Kansas, which is not actually Kansas, but you braved the Colorado traffic during rush hour to come up here and tell some stories with us, so I really appreciate that.
I barely made it.
Yeah.
I'm here. Nah, just kidding.
We were talking about it, and you said you had such a crazy day, and you're kind of laying it out for me. And yeah, you sounds like you've got a lot of stuff going on, and you still continue to make the dream come true. So I'm excited to kind of dig into a little bit of what your world looks like in this episode and talk about J-Walker's Apparel and see how you're making the dream come true with that, man. This is going to be really fun. Heck yeah. So
Awesome.
let's throw it back. Let's set the stage. Where'd you grow up?
I'm actually born and raised here in Denver.
Awesome.
So been here most of my life.
That's rare.
Yeah, it is these days.
That's crazy. What part of Denver?
I mostly grew up like South Denver area. Pretty much Aurora most of my life. Like I was in Littleton for a little while before that, but mostly Aurora.
Heck yeah.
Almost my whole life, yeah.
That part of the state's certainly changed over the last decade or two, man. It's nuts to watch all the growth happening out that way. I mean, all over, but out there especially.
All over Colorado. It's been wild.
Heck yeah, man. So what did childhood look like for you? Any favorite subjects in school or sports?
I guess growing up, I was a little bit of a chunky kid, so that kind of pushed me to get into sports and stuff. So I was really big into it started with, soccer, then got into like baseball, basketball, football, lacrosse, all that. So
heck yeah.
That was a big part of my life growing up.
That's awesome. Sure. Did you play any of those into high school or all of those in high school?
Up to high school, I ended up I stuck with football and did a little bit of like kickboxing, that kind of stuff. And then my last year of high school, I switched over to rugby. And that was a great decision, man. A lot of fun.
Hell yeah. I feel like that's such a rarity in school, just in Colorado, for example, but like kind of just in the United States. Like I don't really see too many rugby programs in high school. So that's sick.
Yeah, there's really not. And, I think a lot of it has to do with liability. But
Sure.
I have noticed it's been growing here in the U.S. for sure.
Heck yeah. That's dope, dude. Anything that you enjoyed studying during high school, or were you not like a good student?
Yes and no. I was definitely quite a bit of a stoner in high school, and may have gave a little bit out here and there. But I didn't really necessarily have a favorite subject, but I mean, I got good grades in high school.
Heck yeah.
I got kicked out of prom for being high and didn't get to walk, but I graduated. So
that's all that matters,
exactly.
Dude. Heck yeah, and you got to have a little bit of fun while you were there.
Yep.
That's dope. So after high school, did you attend college? Was that in your plans?
So after high school, I ended up joining the military.
Okay.
And then after that, I did a little bit of college as well. So I ended up moving out to for boot camp. I was in Chicago for a little bit, then Florida for A school, and then I was stationed out in San Diego for a while. And then after I got done with that, I ended up coming back to Colorado because that's where all my friends and family and stuff are. So then I started going to school for exercise science.
Okay.
And my whole goal was to become a doctor of physical therapy.
Wow. That's a heavy bill right there, man.
Things changed quite a bit.
Yeah. How many years did you go to school for?
So I dropped out after about 2.5, 3 years, and that was to go more of an entrepreneurial route. So
sick. What kicked you into that direction initially?
So while I was going to school, I was also working for a local supplement store here in Colorado, which I liked a lot. And the owner saw that I was very motivated and wanted to grow and move up and stuff. So he actually offered me the opportunity to kind of run one of our franchises that was failing and try to turn it into a profitable business. So he gave me that opportunity. I ran that store for, I think, around a little over a year. I doubled gross sales, I doubled customer count.
Wow.
Got a good feel for, honestly, even though I was just managing the store, I was doing everything for the store. So it felt like, I was running the business myself. I got to kind of learn about marketing and that kind of stuff because I didn't learn that in school.
Yep. Was that your first taste of that entrepreneurial experience then?
Yeah.
Like getting to experience like the marketing and like getting to deal with people and all that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Because I pretty much, was placed there and it was like, all right, well, we started this business here. It's now gotten into a position where it's failing and it's your job to turn it into a profiting business. So had to do a lot of thinking, a lot of trial and error, figure out what works. And that I would say that gave me very good experience and a good start to learning how to grow a business.
That's awesome. Yeah. I always tell people like if they can find themselves in that position, it's like be a sponge in those scenarios because especially when you're thrown into the deep end like that. And it's like, well, hopefully you can figure out how to swim. Like you do have the opportunity, especially when it's on somebody else's dime to figure out what to and what not to do, especially before you go out and start your own thing. Right.
Yeah, 100%.
What was your favorite, activity to do there or like thing that you learned through that process?
My favorite activity. So, one of the biggest things I did that helped me grow a lot is every week I did something called a Flex Friday giveaway. So every Friday I would try to make some sort of like funny skit video either by myself or with one of my employees, and then I would post it up and do one of those kind of share and tag 3 friends type thing to kind of get more overall exposure and stuff. So I would do that consistently every Friday so people knew when to expect it and stuff, and kind of grew and got bigger and bigger, more and more tags as I made more videos. And yeah, so that was that. I would say that was probably one of my favorite things for sure to do there is those giveaways were fun.
Heck yeah. Were the Flex Fridays similar to the videos that you do on your personal Instagram now where it's like some comedy like bind it in there, or was it like a more serious type of video?
Yeah. It was definitely comedy, definitely not the greatest like looking back at those videos now, I'm like, it's pretty cringy for me to even watch. I'm like, what am I doing? But
it worked.
But I think, doing that over and over and over time got me better at, creating content and learning how to like edit videos, transitions, making music match up and that sort of thing. So
yeah,
over time just got a lot better.
There is something to be said about just starting somewhere, right? And I think like you said, it is hard to look back at, where you started because sometimes it is that headspace or head case where you're like, wow, I should not have ever put that on the internet. But if you didn't put that on the internet, you wouldn't be where you are now. And I think that's a good story for a lot of people who are just kind of getting their entrepreneurial feet wet is just like, dude, just start somewhere and like, maybe look like an idiot for a little bit, maybe look like an idiot for a long time. Yeah. But guess what? Like you're going to refine that process into being really good at it because you don't just start being good right off the bat, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And hey, you know what? Being an idiot, sometimes it still draws attention and sometimes that's the goal. So
certainly, dude. Yeah. I mean, and especially I really like your guys' approach. Or even just your approach with your personal Instagram, but even with J-Walkers, is just like nothing is too serious. Especially in a world that is too serious all the time. Like, let's laugh a little bit. Let's have a lot of fun. And so I really like that approach to it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a huge part of what we like to do too. Always like to incorporate, comedy and having fun. Yeah.
That's dope, man. So how did that kind of end for you? Were you just like kind of petering out at the store and just looking to do something for yourself or?
Yeah. Basically, one of my buddies that I started J-Walkers with, we both have kind of bigger thighs and had trouble, finding pants that, fit good on our thighs and look good and we're still able to actually move in them and not be like stiff. So one of my buddies kept coming by the store and he kept showing me these pants he would get and he'd be like, yo, check these out. And I'm like, dude, where'd you get those? So, and then I would always just copy him and go get the same pants. And
Heck
then,
yeah.
And then, just over time sitting at the store, there was just, there were certain promises that were made to me that just weren't kept and just a lot of things that were said that just didn't end up happening. So I started to get to the point where I was starting to feel a little burnt out because I doubled gross sales, doubled customer count, was doing great with the store, but wasn't really at where I wanted to be at. So yeah, when my buddy came in, Justin, my partner, one day I was like, dude, why don't we just like maximize this concept? Like you keep showing me these like cool stretchy pants and like they're kind of stretchy, but what if we made some that were like really stretchy, like the stretchiest? So that's kind of how it all started. We started sampling out different fabrics from all these different like countries overseas and stuff, and just testing them out until we finally found something where we were like, yeah,
that's
this is
sick. And so were you still working at the store at this point in time, kind of just like reaching out to different producers, or was it kind of just like later I'm out, I'm going to go find something else to make some money, and you're kind of sourcing this stuff on the back end there?
I can't 100% remember. I think we may have started to maybe source out some fabric before I like completely cut ties, but for the most part, yeah, I kind of just, left and started that. I was still doing like some personal training and stuff too. I've always been a big hustler, so.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I can tell just based off of like all the stuff in your Instagram bio, like all the businesses that you've got going on, all the work that you've got going on. Yeah. I mean, like I said, before you came up here, I saw on Instagram that you were standing on a roof, like doing work, man, roofing a house. Like that's insane to me, man. And yeah, I think, that stuff, we talk about starting a business and living out the dream, right? But nobody sees the behind the scenes. And I think it's really cool that you're able to document that you're not just sitting behind a computer, like, doing marketing stuff, like you're up there getting your hands dirty, like busting your ass to pay your bills so you can go and work on a dream. And yeah, that's really cool. And I love hearing how organically this brand started. So I really want to dig into like where the name came from, what the sourcing of materials look like. Like, were you looking at other brands' pants? Like, did you go to their producers? Like, how did that all work? Like, I'm so curious.
Yeah. So, we didn't necessarily like try to go through like, other like established brands, because we knew they're not going to want to, give us the secret sauce.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, honestly, we found pants that we liked kind of the fit of, and kind of modeled our sizing a little bit after that, and then made some adjustments. Because we ended up actually doing like our sizes fit like extra small through 3XL rather than having, 32, 32 and that sort of thing, just because of how stretchy they are. So they fit a wide variety of sizes.
Yep.
But yeah, we might end up doing that in the future, doing like the 32 type stuff and coming out with some different fabric blends and all that.
I do like the sizing structure, because at first to me it was weird, and then I put on the pants that you gave me and I was like, oh dude, this is sick. Like this makes sense to me. Like,
it makes sense when you put it on, but I think like a lot of people that are so used to going to the store and buying jeans that are 32-30
and they're so rigid and like,
and they're just used to, those measurements. So then when they see like the small, medium, large, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do because I'm a 32-32. What is that? So
yeah. And I will say, like, I feel very similar to you and your business partner. Like, for years and years, I've been trying to source out like the perfect stretchy pants, because I'm a bigger dude and I'm always like blowing the crotch of my pants out riding my BMX bike. And yeah, the other day after you hooked me up with a pair of pants, I rode in them and I was like, dude, this is different. Like, I feel like I'm wearing pajamas right now, but they don't look like pajamas.
Yeah,
and this is so
I forgot
dope
to ask you that if you had a chance to ride in those
Yeah,
things.
I love them, dude. I love them. So yeah, killer work to you guys. So yeah, as you guys are kind of formulating what the pants are going to look like, shopping around for different suppliers, how did the name come about? What was the brainstorming session on all that?
I can't remember like which one of us necessarily kind of came up with the concept, but J-Walkers, this is kind of the idea behind it. So like J-Walkers, it's a reference to like jaywalking. So, jaywalking, you're not really supposed to like jaywalk. It's like technically illegal, but like everybody does it anyways. And, I do it sometimes. You've probably done it at one point in your life, right? So J-Walkers, we created pants for doing what you can't normally do in like normal pants.
Sure.
So like a normal pair of, jeans or something, you wouldn't want to, it would be difficult to do, athletic type things, or, wear with like a suit and stuff like that. So our pants are designed so you could go to school, you could go to work, you could go to the gym, you could ride your bike, you could do literally anything in these pants. So they're just meant to be super versatile. And plus, jaywalking has kind of that like just rebellious kind of tone to it. And so
I like that like kind of counterculture. And it kind of ties back to what you were saying in high school, you know, being the stoner who like to share some every now and then. It like goes back to that like counterculture against the man, like jaywalking. I like that, dude. That's
exactly.
dope. Yeah, I like when stuff kind of like makes the full circle back to kind of where you started. So that's super cool, dude. So you guys, you know, you start sourcing these materials, like where does it go from there? Like, do you make an order? Like, what do the first orders look like? And were you guys selling them to homies or making a website? Like, how did that start?
Yeah, I mean, I guess at first we probably were, selling to like some of the homies and stuff. But I mean, we literally started with 3 colors of pants, and they were all stored in my mom's basement because we didn't have anywhere else to put them. So that was. I'm sure my mom loved that.
And what year was that?
2018.
Okay.
Probably part of 2019 as well. And, you know, we got a big storage now. And goal is to get a storefront where we can store all our stuff as well as have an area for people to buy, you know, clothing and try it on.
I feel like that'll be the huge game changer too, when people can start like I said, with the sizes, even like it's maybe confusing online, but then you come into a store and you're like, okay, like small, you put them on, you're like, oh, I see why they are small instead of like, you know, a 26 or whatever that would be equatable to. So having a retail brick and mortar would be sick down the road, man.
And also just want to get in more, you know, stores. And that's one of our biggest goals we talked about for like 2024. We really want to push trying to do some more wholesale, get in some more stores, especially any sort of like BMX store.
Heck yeah. That's dope, man. Yeah, I love that. I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, I think we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but I want to talk about like, you know, how that BMX niche started for you guys. Because I feel like, you know, I've heard you mention before, like you don't have any like prior ties really to BMX, right?
Yeah, no, I don't. So sometimes I'm kind of scared to say that in front of BMX people.
I think it's really cool and it's super serendipitous that you guys have made a product that BMX riders have gravitated towards so organically. That to me says that you did the right, you built something in the right way and people are finding it in the right way. Like you're not forcing it on anybody. And that's special because that doesn't happen often. Because as a BMX rider myself, I have shopped endlessly for the perfect pair of pants. And I've gone through numerous different brands and I've blown out so many pants and I've spent so much money. And like now I feel like I'm at home in a pair of pants because they're comfortable. So props to you guys. So yeah, how did that kind of start for you?
I appreciate that. As far as the BMX part, okay. So yeah, Rob Darden, that's the name. He's the man that started it all for BMX. So you guys can all thank Rob Darden.
What a legend. He's actually selfishly, I'm just going to say he's one of my favorite BMX riders ever. Like 16-year-old me right now is freaking out because I love Rob Darden. Dude. Yeah. He's the man.
He's got a really cool style of riding too, I've noticed. So
yeah, very
I like to watch his videos.
That's sick. So did he just like buy a pair of pants online somehow? Like how did he, do you know how he stumbled across them?
I mean, shoot, I kind of want to try to pull up the original message if that's cool.
Please do.
But yeah, what I think, if I remember correctly, I think, he ended up just ordering a pair because he saw it online and ended up really liking them and kind of ended up spreading the word with within the BMX industry with so like him. I would say him, Brooklyn, Corey Bergler, and Ryan Nyquist were all of like our original J-Walkers guys that have kind of been helping us like since the beginning.
That's so sick. And like, I mean, all those dudes are badass, but then, you know, Darden and Nyquist are like titans of the BMX industry. So that's insane. Like to have those kind of people just organically repping the product. That's special, man. Again, it's a testament to you guys actually being passionate about designing a product that works and is comfortable, right? So that's super dope.
Yeah, and everybody I've met so far too in the BMX industry has just been really chill and stuff. I had the opportunity to meet some guys last year. They did that BMX triple jump challenge.
Yep.
Over at the Broncos Stadium. So I had the opportunity to meet a few of the guys then too that ride for us. Tryon, Daniel Sandoval. I got to meet him. He wasn't riding for us at the time, but he did hit us up. He did hit us up after, and so we are working with him a little bit now.
That's dope.
And who else was there? Brian Fox I got to meet.
Yep.
And a few other guys.
Yeah, that was a heavy roster list out there too, man.
Yeah, Mike Varga was out there. I didn't get a chance to see him, but he's one of our riders too.
Yeah, I just saw that video he posted in the pants the other day about like trying like a 900 or something crazy, like so many times, and like all the like butt marks from like landing on the tire and like not ripping the pants. Yeah. And I'm like, dang, that's so sick, dude.
Oh yeah.
That's so cool.
Sorry, I'm still scrolling to the
you're
top.
Good,
There's
dude.
A lot of messages now, I guess.
That's super cool. Darden is the freaking man. He's actually the dude that I first saw like when COVID was coming around, that COVID was happening, because he lived in China at the time.
Yeah.
I was like following him on Twitter, and I was just like, what is
their
this?
Like BMX Olympic
like
team
the
or
Chinese
something? Yeah.
Olympic BMX team. And I remember him posting stuff on Twitter about like, you know, COVID's happening over here, stuff's locking down. And that was like this time of year in 2019.
Yeah.
And I remember like always telling my wife, I'm like, I don't know what's going on over there, but hopefully that doesn't happen here. And then like the whole world went into it. But he was the first dude I remember seeing it through.
Thing. And yeah, seeing him do it as like, because we're not familiar obviously with like, you know, the landscape and stuff in China and stuff, seeing him do the cool BMX tricks and with the different backgrounds.
And the city's like completely dead.
Yeah. And he has his mask on.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not supposed to be outside, but I wanted to go for a bike ride today. And it's just like, whoa, dude.
Yeah. Yep. Still scrolling.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to like go to the top of all Instagram.
Okay, there it is. So yeah, he sent me a message, and he actually tagged us in a post.
Wow.
And then he sent me a message and said, I recently bought, that changes my whole backstory. I recently bought a pair of jeans through Douglas. So Dougie Fresh in Brazil. He was one of the, somewhere in South America. I think Brazil. Dougie Fresh. I can't remember his last name, but Doug. I guess he's actually responsible for the initiation of J-Walkers, because he's the one that put Rob Darden on. So but he said, I recently bought a pair of jeans from Douglas. He recommended them to me, and I must say they're the best pair of pants I've ever worn for riding and chilling. I'd love to get more involved.
How dope, dude.
And then he said, the BMX community needs more of these jeans.
That's so sick. So how did Doug get a pair? Are they manufactured in South America?
No, I don't even.
That's crazy.
That's, yeah. Douglas Oliveira.
Wow.
So yeah, he's a Portuguese rider, and rides out of Brazil.
Dang, dude.
Sure. Now I'm going to have to go through these and see.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Well, geez. So talking about BMX being like this crazy like niche industry that just like happened upon you guys, is there any other things that are kind of like popping up for you right now that's like, whoa, this is crazy, we didn't expect to have this industry kind of, you know, feeling the product that we're making?
I wouldn't say necessarily anything like surprising, but yeah, honestly, hands down, BMX was the surprising part. Like when we created this brand, like I'll be completely honest with you, like our target audience was bodybuilders, because I'm not necessarily a bodybuilder. Like I lift bodybuilding style, but my business partner, he's a pro bodybuilder, and we both have big legs. And so the goal was, you know, to create pants for people who can't fit normal pants at all. And then we didn't realize that it would be such a fit niche for people being able to put it on and take it off like over your pads, and also just be able to move so much more freely and not be restricted. We honestly didn't really think about that when we initially made the brand. So that was really cool to see. And it has been really cool to see they grow in BMX. And it's always super cool when like some pro BMX guy reaches out and was like, hey, I heard you guys got the best pants. Like, that's just such a cool feeling.
It's dope. Yeah, it's cool to hear that it wasn't something that you guys designed around or even like had a purview of, and to see how much you've leaned into the BMX industry, because I feel like most people who aren't aware of BMX are just like, it's fine, it'll be there. But the fact that you guys like have leaned into it so heavily, and like you are part of the BMX industry now, which is sick. Like some of the coolest dudes are repping J-Walkers, and like that's not an easy feat to do. We talked about it before we started this episode, but the BMX industry is very core, and it cares deeply, and it wants to work with people who are passionate about BMX. And so seeing you guys come out to the BMX event that we just threw, and like seeing you guys be stoked about BMX in person, like that's huge, dude. And it's super cool. And like, yeah, it's unique. So yeah, congratulations to you guys.
Honestly, that event was really cool. That was really cool to be at my very first BMX event. And even though I don't do it myself, like I think it's really awesome, and I have a lot of respect for the talent that some of these guys have and stuff.
Heck yeah.
And you can tell how much work a lot of these guys put in.
A lot of passion. I mean, it kind of goes back to like you talking about, like, you know, your partner being a bodybuilder and you being in that industry yourself. Like, you know how much work it goes, or you have to put into doing things that you love, and how much passion is involved in all that. And, you know, bikes are very similar to that. So it's cool that you can kind of relate on that front as well.
So here's the original message from Douglas. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm here in Texas, Dallas, not Dallas, Texas, Dallas, doing the state fair of Texas BMX shows. Would you guys get me a deal for the pants? It looks like these are the best pants to ride BMX with pads. So that's the initial thing I have for the start of the story. I don't have any trails before that. So
that's amazing, man. Heck yeah. Well, that's super dope. Yeah. Like I said, it is really cool to see a company that was non-BMX or not focused on BMX be able to adopt such a cool and core industry. Like that's dope. And yeah, the pants are freaking awesome. So, and it's cool to hear like you talk about, because your business partner also doesn't have a background, right, in like design or like sourcing materials. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, he's, like I said, pro bodybuilder. So, I mean, and before that, he was military as well. So he was Marine, I was Navy. So we both, don't have any background in any of this.
So how has that been, like, navigating with these producers? Has that been something that's been a challenge, or has it been easy?
Like with the manufacturers?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it's very challenging, and it can sometimes be a huge headache, just because it's quality control in general is so hard, just to have a manufacturer create like specific sizes and them all be exactly the same. Because, at the beginning when we were doing smaller productions, there wasn't as good of quality control. I'd say our quality control is a lot better now, but every once in a while, I try to come out with a new color, and then, all the sizes all of a sudden fit differently. And it's like, well, how am I going to sell this? Like, I can't even sell this.
Yep. So
yeah, sometimes little things like that come up, and man, I just want to tear my hair out of my head.
I bet.
But over time, it definitely gets better. You learn to deal with it and stuff. And, there's always a solution, right? So sometimes shit happens that sucks, but like, dude, that's business and part of being an entrepreneur, right? You already know.
Yeah. What do you think your biggest hurdle has been working with people? Is it time zone differences or language barriers, or just, what's the biggest struggle you've experienced with that so far in the sourcing process?
The biggest struggle with sourcing, I guess maybe communication, just because, the people that we are sourcing from, English isn't their first language. So sometimes I feel like sometimes things can get jacked up in communication. There's been times where I've made an order and I'm like, hey, I thought we said this. And they're like, oh, I thought you said this. I said, no, I definitely said this. Look right here. So sometimes I think things can get a little jumbled that way, but
yeah. Heck yeah. And
obviously we've always wanted to, from the very beginning, try to obviously manufacture in the US, but it has not been doable. But that still is something that we would like to do in the future. Yeah.
I mean, especially for something like apparel and clothing, it's so difficult to do in the United States, especially if you want to make a product that is, especially at your guys' scale, something that is competitive in the market, right? Because I mean, anything in the US, like, it is more expensive, especially if it's manufactured here. And like, we know that. Like, I bet you I'm confident that the same pants you make manufactured in the United States would have to retail for probably close to $200, if not more than that.
Yeah, just the cost would be at least like 5 times as much. And I mean, just being straightforward, honest, I don't think I would still be in business if I even tried. I mean, I would have needed at least like 10 times the capital to even start the business.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, so let's talk about that. So going back to starting the business, how did you guys finance this, first order and the first few orders? Like, what did that look like for you guys back in the day, coming off of, working in the supplement store and your partner being a bodybuilder? Like, how did you guys make it work?
Yeah, so a lot of our own money, especially from the beginning when we were sampling. Like, like you see these pants we sell online, we sell them for like $70, right? But you have to realize when you're not buying in bulk production, when you're buying samples, sometimes those can be expensive as $200 for just one piece.
Wow. And how long does that usually take to get here?
Sampling, depending, some can be anywhere from like 2 to 4 weeks, something like that. Sometimes manufacturing takes around like 1 to 2 months, sometimes even longer. But yeah.
That's crazy. So you guys are kind of just, in the beginning, you're financing it out of your own pockets.
Yeah, from the very beginning. And then we got to a point where we needed a little bit more capital. And so this I would say is one of the hardest parts of starting a business, and maybe just my industry, but I think it's all around. One of the biggest problems I faced was I tried going to all these banks and trying to get a loan to get a big order. And you know what every single bank said to me? You need to be established for at least 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
For us to give you a loan. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get established?
Yeah.
So we ended up going through like a third party Colorado Enterprise Fund.
Okay.
And getting a loan through them. And that kind of helped us get started on some bulk. But yeah, that blew my mind. Like I never knew that, but yeah, just so you know.
Yeah, I've actually heard people, and this is like a bit of advice that I've heard recently that I'm actually kind of starting to act on more actively, is even if you have the idea of starting a business, but you're not going to do it for a year or two, start the LLC right now, just so you can show the bank that you have been in LLC for 2 years, because that gives you the ability to borrow from a bank.
Yep.
And so now I'm like just setting up LLCs every time I have an idea, because I'm like, well, maybe it'll be a year or two, but I'll be able to borrow money. And so, yeah, I love that you brought that up, because that's something
that's smart what you're doing. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you just don't think about it, and like, especially when you are just getting started in a business, there's like all these shortcuts you could take. And like, yeah, it's these things that, the people who are wildly successful, they know how to do it, and they are able to like, okay, well, I can just keep borrowing money if I do it this way, or I can get a head start on this next project if I do it this way. So yeah, there's a little life hack there, or a business hack. Start an LLC, even if you're just thinking about it. Because I don't know, what is it in Colorado? It's $50 to start an LLC, and like $10 every
not
year.
Much.
It's nothing, dude.
It's really not.
And it will
especially in the grand scheme of things. If you're thinking of starting a business,
exactly.
Like, that's nothing.
Yeah. Don't let that be the barrier to entry, because it gets way more expensive.
Yeah. That's nothing.
So you guys, borrow money, and then you're off to the races with bigger bulk orders. And is that allowing you guys to have better quality control at that point in time, when you can say like, hey, instead of, I don't know, what was it, maybe 50-piece orders, you're ordering 300 piece?
I wish we could do 50-piece orders, man.
What is like the smallest in the
like
beginning?
200 per color.
Oh my gosh.
And then imagine what they would be here.
Dude.
In the US.
Yeah. And is that 200 per color per size, or is it 200 per color?
No, not per size. Yeah, per product. Yeah.
Okay.
So they could be varying in size. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah. In the US, that would be.
But still, for like a starting brand, like it's kind of a lot.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about 200 minimum order, and each one of those pieces costs you $30, like that adds up really quickly, man. And yeah, especially when you're not like, you don't know how well a new product is going to sell, right? So jump back to that first launch for you guys. Were you like nervous that those things weren't going to sell, or how did they sell?
Honestly, I don't think I was that nervous, because Man, I was just, especially at the very beginning, now looking back, I'm like, dang, what am I doing? But man, I was so like at the beginning, just jaywalk gung ho, like every day posting so many videos and just making so much content and just building such a big hype around it. I didn't even have time to be nervous. I was too busy building hype and stuff. So yeah, I mean, and to go along with that too, I just want to say, even though I wasn't nervous, it definitely takes a lot more time than what I expected. And I'm an impatient person. I mean, like I just, I kind of like was like, okay, we're going to do this. It's an awesome idea. We're going to blow up, work with these athletes, but it's definitely a lot of time, effort, building relationships, that sort of thing. And, yeah, I'm super happy with the way things are going right now. So I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, that's super dope. I mean, it is hard, especially in business, to like kind of step back and survey the landscape and look at it as the big picture, because I think especially the way that we consume media or, any sort of, business literature, anything like that, you see it on the internet and you're like, oh, that guy blew up overnight. We can do that. And like, yeah, you get into it and you're like, wait, it's going to take us a year just to get the samples dialed in. Wait, we're not even going to make money for a year? Like, that's crazy, And like, then you guys are like, you're still working like a real job to make the dream come true. And like, again, it's the stuff that people don't see behind the scenes that's how you make it work. So are you guys still just investing everything back into the business?
We've been paying ourselves out a little bit.
Heck yeah.
But for the most part, we have been putting mostly everything back into the business because, goal is still to grow. And we have gone from like 3 colors of pants to, I want to say we have like 13 now. We got men's shorts, women's shorts, a little bit of everything, man. Tank tops, hoodies, jerseys.
A lot of SKUs, man.
Yeah, a lot of SKUs.
That probably starts to become overwhelming. Like, I know how it is for us. Like, you saw how many coffees we have out there on the shelf. And then I think about that for like every time we do a t-shirt drop, like, okay, we have 2 colors, we have X amount of sizes, but I can't imagine like a full blown apparel company. Cause it's like, you don't know, there is no science to saying like, okay, how much of this size and this color should we order and is it going to sell well?
Yeah, you can. I mean, after you sell it, then you can base it off the sales. Yep. But yeah, the first round, it's kind of guessing on that. And yeah, I got to say that definitely is one of the harder things too, man. Just trying to predict what people are going to buy. Like I would say that I'm never super close, honestly. Like I'll be like, okay, I'm getting this shirt. And I feel like they're going to sell a lot of 2X and 3X, but then that ends up being like the lowest seller and I have a whole bunch. But then when I reorder, then I just make sure I order more of the smaller sizes and then it ends up evening out. But
totally.
Yeah.
Have you had any products along the way where you're like, this is going to be like the game changer and then it just doesn't do what you think it's going to do?
Yeah. My partner would probably laugh at this. Yeah. Last summer I was like, you know what? We don't have any money, but I'm going to throw some of my own cash in and we're going to launch these super dope fanny packs. Probably sold like 5.
Oh, no.
I think they're super dope, but maybe not my best move.
Hey, you know what? You never know unless you try. And I love that you sent it because, you never know. Because what if that was the best selling product?
Exactly.
And I think that's the hardest thing.
Someone's got to, try some new stuff,
Yeah. I mean, that's the hard thing about business, right? Like you sometimes have to roll the dice and like sometimes the thing that you thought wasn't going to be the best selling thing ends up being or vice versa. And yeah, that's funny. But I know that feeling. I've been in that position a number of times where I'm like, oh, dude, these are going to go crazy. And then you drop it and they just sit there and you're just like, am I crazy? Because I think these are dope.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Yeah, I definitely did that with the shirt design also.
Yeah.
So.
It's like that sometimes. What to date has been like the best selling product or colorway for you guys?
Black pants.
I could have called that one.
Yeah.
I could have called that one, especially in BMX.
Yeah, that's what every BMX guy wants.
We all think we're individual, but we all wear black.
I'm trying to get more colors out in BMX, and I mean for us as a brand, it's we like to see people riding in the colors because that kind of shows that it's a different type of pants. Like it's better for marketing for us, for J-Walkers. If people see like a crazy teal colored pants, they're like, whoa, what pants are those? Rather than someone wearing black pants, nobody's ever going to think twice about what brand that is.
Yep. It does take me back to, there was a era in BMX where Levi's was heavily involved, and they were really pushing colored pants. And it, like, when I first saw you guys, that's what it took me back to. I'm like, this is freaking sick, dude.
Yeah.
Like, bringing back in some like assortment of color, and like, because it does kind of get sterile when everybody kind of looks the same, and it's like, okay, well, let's get some color in. So what you guys are doing is cool, trying to incorporate like more color into the industry. I like that. And like I said, it kind of brings me back. I mean, this is probably talking 15 years ago now that this was like a big thing with Levi's. So maybe it's about to come back around, and you guys are about to be selling some red pants like crazy or something.
Shoot, the red pants may or may not be one of our future colors coming.
Yeah. There
one
we
of
go.
our we work with a UFC guy too, Drew Dober. I know he's been pushing for some red pants, so that might be in our plans soon.
Sick, dude.
But,
Heck yeah. How did the Brownquist pants come about with Nyquist? Because I just love the name, the Brownquist. Like, that always cracks me up, and he's got such good humor on him as it is. And I gotta say, I always geek out because he's always posting clips in the Brownquist pants, but with a traction shirt on, and it's always like, I'm like, that's a cool combo right there, sick. Dude. So
no, he's been super cool since the beginning, super helpful, and like we talked about earlier, he incorporates a lot of comedy, and I absolutely love that. We talked about potentially doing a signature color, and he was all about it, and I just kind of sent him some like options of what he wanted, and there was a couple browns he wanted to try, so I got him some samples, sent him out a couple browns to try, and he's like, yeah, I like this one, and went from there. There was I wish I had the names, the funny names that we were coming up with for the color, because originally it wasn't going to be Brownquist. There was some pretty interesting names.
Something fart joke related, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, there was definitely some sort of. Let me see. Oh, okay, here it is. Browntown. How about Browntown or LeBron James?
LeBron James. I could literally hear his voice saying LeBron James, actually. So that's pretty hilarious.
Yeah. I can't find the other ones, but those were a couple of the funny names.
That's amazing. Well, and I love like those type of collaborations too, where it's like, the athletes getting to like actually work with you and like create something that's dope that they can put their name behind. That's cool. Especially a dude like that. Like, he's thread for freaking Butterfinger, dude. That's sick. Like, you guys are working together. Like, he's an icon. So heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So as you guys have kind of like navigated through the years, like, what do you think one of your biggest failures has been over the years, if you can just single one out?
I can't remember if I talked about this in the podcast or with you before, but when we finally kind of made enough money to where we wanted to get the specific blend of fabric that we originally wanted but couldn't afford. And then there was just so many different issues with manufacturing. So we like sampled everything. Everything was good in the samples. But then when we got the real ones, like one of the colors would just like, you would just take like 10 steps and they would just like fall apart. Almost.
No way.
Like, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but you would wear them and not do anything active. Like, I wore them, sat in a chair, shot a rifle, then got up, and like the crotch was just fucked.
Whoa.
So, we can cuss on here?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I appreciate you asking.
Just making sure I just thought that. But yeah, so that was like one of the colors. The other colors didn't do that, but like for one color, the extra small was bigger than the small. And then they didn't even send us like mediums and like our green, and just so many like ridiculous issues to the point where the pockets were like smaller than the samples. And just got to the point where we were pretty much like, we can't even sell. Like, I don't even feel comfortable selling these. So we just ended up taking a big loss.
And you just have to eat that, right? Because like,
I mean, that was part of the order. It was like a $200,000 order probably.
Wow.
So,
dude.
And that was maybe they had sent us we had paid for like a third, and they sent us like a third of it, and we didn't want the rest. And they were pretty much pushing us to buy the rest. And we're like, no, we're already taking a huge loss. And they're like, we're taking a loss. And I mean, I know how like manufacturing works and stuff. I know they weren't taking a loss. They definitely, if anything, they broke even. They may have made a little money, but they definitely didn't take like if we are the ones taking like an $80,000 loss.
That's crazy. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I'm stoked that you guys were able to like pick up the fumble from that. That wasn't even your fault really. Cause I've heard this type of horror story so many times with friends that are in a similar line of business as you guys.
Like, I mean, think about it. You spend that much money and then like one little thing gets messed up and then like you can't even sell any of the products. Like,
yeah. And especially as a small business, that could be the nail in the coffin, man. Like
literally.
Yeah. So how did you guys like recover from that? What did that process look like?
Pretty much just lots of low budget marketing. And yeah, building it up and working with different random like TikTok influencers. That honestly actually helped us out a lot.
Okay.
It's just a lot of like influencer marketing and that kind of stuff. So yeah, we've recovered from that and stuff and doing solid now and on the right track.
That's amazing. I love that you touched on the TikTok influencers too. That's a question I had for you. It's like, how are you identifying partnerships within BMX or outside of BMX? Like, are you kind of just letting people come to you? Or are you guys seeking people out? Or is it kind of a mix of both?
Yeah. So I'd say it's kind of a mix of both. For the most part, for BMX, we don't really reach out to many people. Usually that's people reaching out to us. But sometimes there's a few people that I've reached out to. And then with TikTok, yeah, that's me reaching out to people. I'll see people, especially posting videos where they're like, I can't find pants that fit. So I'm like, okay, well, that's easy. Message this guy. Like, he's going to love these. So,
Heck yeah.
And what's helped me a lot with that too is building my own social media. Because if you think about it, if you're just, kind of a random person, low following profile, you DM, a big athlete or influencer, they're just going to ignore your message.
Yep. Yeah, you kind of fall to the bottom of the queue.
So I built my TikTok up to like 600,000 and I built my Instagram up past 100,000. And now I think that helps me like be able to reach out to some of these guys because they almost see me as like, well, like influencers and stuff, they see me like as an influencer too, and they're more willing to talk to me than just like some like random ass like dude that's just
you're
like,
not
yo,
like
you're hot.
Yeah,
like,
you're not somebody like selling them some random shit. It's like you're a counterpart at that point because like they feel like you've done the work that they've done, which is cool, like because I feel like that's a hard thing when you're reaching out to like influencers or people that you're wanting to work with, like unless you really do have like, hey, we're similar. Like, I'm not trying to, especially as a small brand, because like sometimes like you talk to these people and they're like, well, I want all this money, and you're just like, well, I would love to give you that money, but let's come up together. And like being able to be honest and having like that follower number associated with that reach out, I'm sure it really does soften that blow for people because people are like, oh, cool, like we're struggling the same way together. We've come up the same way together. Like we're similar. So that is very interesting.
Yeah. I feel like that's helped like a lot.
Heck yeah. Are you like, when you're seeking these partnerships out, are you looking through like hashtags? Like how are you finding people? Or are you just kind of like going through like your explore page?
Hashtag, that's a great idea. Yeah, I mean it's mostly been kind of just random run-ins, but searching hashtags, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm always so curious about like how people navigate partnerships and like, again, these are all fun ways to like grow your business, and seeing how you've grown your Instagram and your social pages, like it's cool to like see how that's all played out. So.
Yeah. And with building like BMX too, like on the J-Walkers page, I watch all our different athletes post, and when they post with like other guys and stuff, I try to, follow along and just kind of build up more and more in that community, and especially all the local guys and stuff. I try to follow back all the local guys and stuff.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's cool. I mean, even just seeing all the local guys that were at our jam last weekend, like that were rocking J-Walker stuff. Like even like I was talking to Trey Herrera, and I was like, hey dude, like, you won this contest, like you get a free pair of pants or like a flannel from these guys. And he's like, oh no, I already ride for them. I was like, oh, what? Like that's sick, dude.
Trey's one of our newest guys, and he's really cool. I had just talked to him like 2 days before that, and I had no idea he was in Colorado.
Yep.
So like I'm talking to him about like, you know, joining like J-Walkers and being a part of the team and stuff. And then he's just like, hey, I'm Trey. And I'm like, who? What? Wait, the dude from, oh, hey, I didn't know you were
funny.
here. Like,
yeah.
What's up?
He's a ripper, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, that's it. Again, it's cool to like see, we talked about this before we started the episode, but like cool to get out in your own community and be like, oh, like these are the people that are here. And then for people to realize that you guys are in Colorado too. Like that's really cool.
Yeah. One of the other guys that won one of the competitions messaged me and was like, yo, these pants are awesome. Thanks. I think
That's
it's
dope.
Alex
Alex Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dope, dude. Heck
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and you know, these are the kind of things like I love these like collaborative events and stuff like that. Like when the opportunity came up for you guys to come and hang out at this event was through, you know, a mutual friend, and like the way that all happened, I just love.
Yeah, through Justin. Huh?
Yeah, through Justin. Like I love when things are organic like that, and like it's super cool. Even just going back to you talking about like how organic J-Walkers even started. Like I feel like that lays the foundation for really cool business. So yeah, that's dope, man.
Hell yeah.
So with everything that you guys have built up so far, like what's something that you guys didn't expect to happen with this venture outside of like the BMX stuff?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like the main one, but I mean, I guess I'm kind of surprised by I'm surprised in general by people actually reaching out to us versus us having to reach out to everyone. That's honestly made things a little bit easier for us too, with like some BMX and bodybuilding and stuff. I'm trying to think of what else is like kind of unexpected. I never expected to work with UFC fighters.
Yeah.
And like that's been a cool opportunity.
That's huge.
This dude Drew, who I'm like actually, you know, like friends with now and stuff and hang out with, I used to see. I grew up going to all these like local fights, like these like smaller like amateur ones, like you know how you got UFC and then you have your like smaller ones
starts
below.
So small with the seating.
Yeah. So I grew up going to all those, loved those. Drew would go to those because, you know, people on his team would be fighting in the amateur leagues and stuff. And I used to always see him there and he'd always be wearing these like super tight pants and stuff. And he has pretty big legs. And I always saw him at those. And he came into that store that I managed once. And he asked for like a body fat caliper. And I was like, oh, no, we don't have those. But like, can I help you with anything else? He's like, no, just looking for that. And I was just small talking with him. I saw he had it like his ears, like the kind of cauliflower ears. So I was like, are you a fighter? He's like, yeah, I'm in the UFC. And I'm like, oh, cool. You do like MMA style training. Cause at that time I had known a lot of people that did like MMA training, but they just referred to it as like UFC as like a general term for MMA. So I just totally
like
played
as
it
a
off.
reference point.
I just played it off. I was like, oh, cool. You do MMA. That's dope. And he's like, yep. And then pretty much left. And I looked him up after he left and saw he was in the UFC.
Oh.
I was like,
that's awesome, dude.
and this was actually before J-Walkers was even a thing. But I had reached out to him right after because I'm like running this store, trying to grow this store. I'm like, hey, dude, hey, if you ever need any samples or anything, like, let me know. I got you. Like, let me know whatever you need. And he just responds with, thanks, hottie.
That's awesome.
So then like a couple years later, I run into him at the gym and I'm like, hey, dude, I always see you at these fights, like wearing those tight pants. Like I'm starting a new company. Can I like give you some pants to try? If you love them, like awesome, let me know. Keep them. If you don't love them, you know, still like keep them, do whatever with them. Like no expectations whatsoever.
Yep.
Like I just want your feedback. Like you're a UFC fighter. Like I want your feedback. And texted me that night and was just like, I freaking love these pants. These pants are awesome. So that was, I think, my very first athlete for J-Walkers. And that was just, something I never expected.
That's
Did not
amazing,
expect
dude.
that.
And
Yeah.
I love, again, the organic nature of how that relationship started too.
Yeah.
Like of just like, it's almost better that way that you didn't know who he was and kind of like, not like snubbed him, but weren't like, dude, you're the shit, you know? Like, because I mean, we've all had those types of encounters, right? Where people are like, dude, want to be your best friend right off the bat. And you're just like, I don't know, man. But like the fact that you like didn't overhype him and shit. And like, then you guys run back into each other. And how cool is that?
Yeah,
man?
it's so weird that we ran into each other on so many random separate occasions. So
Yeah, that's
it's like
incredible.
it was meant to be, you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, as we kind of start looking ahead at the future of J-Walkers, what are some of your guys' big plans? Do you guys, we're at the end of 2023, which is absolutely bizarre to even consider that this year is almost over.
This year has gone so fast.
It's nuts, man. But yeah, looking into 2024, do you guys have big plans? Like, are you putting new products out, events? Like, what's in the plans for you guys?
Yeah, so big goal for 2024 is to definitely get more involved with BMX events. That's probably our biggest goal, if anything. I actually talked to my partner again about it today at Storage. He's like, dude, we need to do more BMX events. That BMX event you went to looked awesome. Like, let's do more of that. Like, that's where our people are. Like, that's our community. Let's get in there more. So this was our first time doing a BMX event with you guys here in Colorado. So for 2024, I would love to travel and do some like big out of state shows and whatever we can get involved in. And I mean, that's overall in general, but especially in the BMX community is where we want to get more involved.
Heck yeah. Well, I mean, we have a roster of events we're starting to plan out actually for next year. So I'll make sure that you have the invite to all of those, because it was dope having you guys there. Yeah, dude, it was so cool actually having like a vendor set up and like people kind of milling around. And yeah, like I told you at that event, we planned that in a week and a half. So like if we can actually like really start hyping it up, and a big thing, I'll spill the beans here because this is something we really want to do for next year. And usually if I can speak it into words, we're going to make it happen.
Okay.
But I would like to, I mean, maybe we can incorporate you guys into this in a big way, but we want to do an event called King of the Mountain and make it a BMX event where it's 3 different events. It would be a skate park event, a dirt jump event, and a street event. And you can win each one individually, but then it's a total points event at the end of it. So you can win cash at each one, but the end is a big prize for the overall King of the Mountain. So that could be a cool joint collaborative venture there if we want to play around with that as we go into next year. So we'll keep the gears rolling on that. But
yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I always like putting that stuff out there into the world.
Yeah.
If I can speak it into words, man, it usually comes to fruition. So
yeah, that sounds sick.
Heck yeah, man. Well, yeah, I'm excited to dig into that a little more with you. So we've talked about kind of the business venture and everything, but I'm curious, like, what you do to keep showing up at 100% every day. Because I know you're a busy guy. You say you're a hustler. You're out there working the 9 to 5, like grinding away, dude. Like, what keeps you showing up for J-Walkers at 100% every day?
Like I told you, man, I've already come this far. It's too late to turn around. No, just kidding. I know just even now as I just go through the process, even though it's a struggle, it's very fulfilling to just do something for yourself and just kind of be in control of your schedule and what you want to do and kind of follow your passion with it. Sorry, say the question one more time. I got a little lost.
Yeah, just like how you're showing up at or like filling your cup, really. Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly very just, even though we haven't like blown up and I'm not like super successful or anything, it's very rewarding to just watch it grow and just be there for it, and just honestly being a part of like different communities and networking and making these connections and just meeting all these like cool people and stuff. And just knowing like in the end, it's all going to be worth it. Yep. Like, it's hard right now, but like, I just know deep down, like in the end, all this hard work is going to pay off and it's all going to be worth it, because there's no fucking way that it's not.
Yeah.
It's just not.
No, I love it, especially when you can feel it so deeply like that, right? Like that's such a special thing. And we this is another thing we talked about before we started this episode, but being able to like step back and look at everything from day one till now. And sometimes it feels like all the work you've done has been so insignificant, right? And you look at it from like day one to where you are now and you're like, whoa, we built that thing. Like, I couldn't even, like, for me with Traction, when I stand back and look at it, I'm like, I can't even imagine if you go back to 2018, I could not imagine this being what it is right now. It's like bigger than my wildest imagination. And like, it makes me excited for, okay, well, what do the next 5 years look like? And I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, especially when you're down there in the trenches and you're working and fulfilling orders and doing the shit that nobody wants to talk about. It's not glorious. It's not beautiful. But you step back and you look at like, I feel it a lot when I see like a package going to some random town in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. Like we're getting to touch somebody that's in this town that I've never heard of in the middle of nowhere, America. And like, that's really special, you know, like that's not a lot of people get to do that. And we're fortunate for that. So
yeah, no, you're so right about that. And yeah, I do need to, remind myself sometimes the same, to just step back. Cause yeah, sometimes I do feel a little burnt out and I'm like, man, this is so much work. And like, it doesn't feel like I've made that much progress. But yeah, once I actually do take a step back and look at everything we've done, like we've done a lot and we've made so much progress and we've expanded so much. I'm not necessarily where I want to be, but I'm on the right track to get to where I want to be. So,
I mean, even just you talking at the beginning of this episode of starting with 3 SKUs and to going into where you are now, like, do you know how many SKUs that you're offering currently? Because I'm sure it's an astronomical number compared to that original 3 SKU.
I don't even know. I mean, we even got like 12 different colors of just belts. So
see, that's crazy, man. I mean, those are the things I feel like as founders, you forget to step back and look at. Like, there has been exponential growth. You know, maybe you don't feel it because you still are doing the hustle on the outside. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's really dope.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm just working so hard on other things that it feels like I'm doing all this and not progressing that much.
Yeah.
But it's just because I'm just doing so many things.
Heck yeah. Yeah. So I guess, you know, we've talked about that a little bit, but what else all do you have going on that you kind of have your hand in a little bit of everything?
Sheesh, so I finally just recently let go of this, but I've been personal training for like almost 10 years, something like that.
Was that a hard thing to step away from just because it was such a big thing in your life?
Yeah, that, and just it's hard to, sometimes my clients don't let me go, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard to step away from that. And so on top of that, like before I even started the roof contracting, in order to fund myself, I started a small moving company called Not Your Average Movers. So that's also one of my main gigs. So I have a small moving company that I run, and then the roof contracting, a little bit of the training, which I'm not doing anymore. But all that, and J-Walkers. So
jeez, man.
Sometimes it's a lot. And then I'm big into the fighting scene too. So like I help do some promotions with like local fighting and stuff too.
Hell yeah.
So I'm like I told you, man, I'm
nonstop
a
hustling,
dude.
man. Yeah. And I mean, it is easy to feel defeated and down when all you're doing is grinding away, man. But yeah, that's dope. I have so much admiration for that type of hard work. Cause again, you know, this is something, again, we talked about before we started this, but the hard work is never glorified, just the success is glorified. And so getting a sneak peek into like what's going on behind the scenes for you, you know, I feel like when people stumble across an Instagram page and they see all the stuff you guys have going on, they scroll through your website, they're like, this company's huge, these guys are killing it.
Yeah, they ride with this guy, and this guy. Oh man, these guys must be huge.
Yeah.
No.
And you get a sneak peek behind the curtain, and it's like the reality of it is, you know, you guys are grinding away, and it's really cool. And I appreciate you being like vulnerable enough to like let people kind of peek behind the curtain and see like, hey, it's not all like sunshine and rainbows, dude. Like we're fucking working over here. And yeah, that's the reality of it, dude. Like,
yeah,
that's super dope. So talking about leaving like the personal training world, and just kind of doing all the hard work and the hustle on the side, what do you think your biggest sacrifice to date is really getting the ball rolling with J-Walkers?
Oh man, my biggest sacrifice. I would say just having time to put into like friends and family and stuff. I still do try as much as I can, but obviously that does take away from it. So, I mean, it is a sacrifice.
Yeah, no, that's a very appropriate answer, especially when you're going out to these events as much as you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to spread the energy around after you've been out all day talking to people, and then it's like, okay, now I'm going to go have a beer with friends. And you're just like, I'm depleted, man. I cannot talk anymore. Like that's a huge, I mean, it's a huge sacrifice. And I think that's really hard to relay to people as well. Cause from the outside, it looks like you're just getting to have fun all day, right?
Yeah, probably. Especially with like my social media page, like my personal social media page. I feel like people really think I'd be just, fucking around all day, but I'm not.
Yeah. No, I think that's the perfect answer for it, man. Well, sick. As we kind of move into wrapping the podcast up, I have a few more questions that are a little more deep, maybe some controversial stuff. The one that I like to ask a lot is, if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self any piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, man. That's a really hard question because there's like a lot of things that like pop into my head that I want to say, but at the same time, I'm also a really, really big believer in everything happens for a reason. So it's
that's why this one's so
I feel
controversial.
Like if I
man.
said something to myself, then I would, fuck up my whole
future.
Be here,
Yeah.
That's like so important to me. Like I feel like everything worked out the way it did because of how the way everything worked out before.
Yeah. So let me rephrase it. If you could go and give an 18-year-old kid that was in a similar position to you, that's looking to be entrepreneurial, start a business, or not work that 9 to 5, what would you tell him to do?
I would tell him to go for it. Like, don't wait. Like, start now and, do what you got to do to make your money. But if that's something that you're serious about or you're passionate about or you really want to do, like, start doing it now on the side and grow. Like, you don't have to put your whole life into it. But I mean, the earlier you start, I would say the better, the more time you have.
Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah, those are sage words right there. I mean, yeah, you're doing it. And like we said earlier, it's like you got to start somewhere, right? And like
those would be some of my words too. You got don't be worried about X, Y, and Z. Like you got to start somewhere and like don't worry about what, Jared thinks and Casey over there thinks. Like do you, man.
Yeah. And I think, starting somewhere is so important because I think we're so infatuated with end goals all the time, right? Like it needs to look like this in the end. Well, you can't get there again unless you start somewhere. Like you got to fuck up a lot to get to this really beautiful end goal. And 9 times out of 10, that end goal that you thought you were going to achieve, like you don't even want that anymore.
Yeah.
You learned from the beginning. You're like, oh shit, like I can do it different and better than what that goal was. So yeah, I love that, dude. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And anyone you'd like to give a shout out to that's helped you along the way or is still currently helping you?
I guess I'll shout out my partner Justin, obviously, since we've been banging this out for like 5 years, hustling, button heads, X, Y, and Z, all that fun stuff. So he does all the stuff that I don't want to do, and I do all the stuff he don't want to do. So it works out. And what else? Big shout out to Traction Coffee.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, brother. Yeah.
Even though you don't need this and this is your podcast, I still want to shout you guys out.
That means a lot, dude. And yeah, I'm stoked that we've been able to hang out twice in the last week, and hopefully we can keep that rolling going forward. And, we've talked about maybe a collaboration down the road. So hopefully we can get something dope rolling. Because I think
would be sick.
I think we can infuse some really cool stuff together, and especially in the BMX world and maybe kind of working out into different industries together. I think that could be really fun. So I look forward to what this partnership turns into too. I think it could be really cool. And yeah, we're going to do some cool shit together, man.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I really didn't know what to expect coming to this BMX event, but you made it feel very warm and welcoming. And, yeah, like I said, didn't know what to expect, but you are like super chill, dude.
Oh,
like
dude.
I had no idea. Like, yeah. I'm so happy you invited me and happy to be a part of this. So thank you.
No, dude, that means a lot, and I really appreciate that. And yeah, as we wrap this thing up, do you have any parting motivating words for people out there?
Let's see. Just what I said pretty much before. Time waits for no one. So, and time is money.
There you go, man. I love that. Well, thank you so much for making the trek up here, man. This has been a treat. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what you guys can do with J-Walker going into 2024 and over the next 5 years. I think you guys have something really special. So yeah, congratulations to you guys on all the success so far. And yeah, I appreciate the time.
Yeah, appreciate it. And right back at you as well.
Of course, man. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. And if you're enjoying these episodes on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening to them on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon, please leave us a review. It greatly helps get the word out and allows us to keep this project rolling. Thank you so much for being part of the Traction family. We'll catch you on the next one. Keep being scared of normal. We're out.
Cheers,
man.